Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because stories like this are unfolding fast, and if you blink, you might miss how the world quietly slides toward chaos. It hasn't even been 15 days since the new year began, and already it feels like the warnings people laughed at are starting to sound disturbingly real. The year is 2026, and the world looks far less stable than anyone expected. With the pace at which Donald Trump is operating, many are openly asking whether global order itself can survive this year. One crisis follows another, each bigger than the last, each more reckless than the one before. First came Venezuela. The United States allegedly entered Venezuelan territory and forcibly removed President Nicolás Maduro, a move that sent shockwaves through international politics. This wasn't just another covert operation or sanctions package. This was a direct challenge to the so-called rules-based international order that Washington itself claims to protect. Soon after, Iran was threatened with military action, justified by protests against Ayatollah Khomeini. Regime change rhetoric returned to center stage, as if the lessons of Iraq, Libya, and Afghanistan had never been learned. At the same time, America itself began to burn from within. Protests erupted across our cities, not against a foreign enemy, but against the Trump government itself. Anger over ICE brutality spilled onto the streets. Demands grew louder for the complete release of the Epstein files. Many Americans believe something is being hidden, and Donald Trump's silence has only fueled suspicion. Historically, when pressure builds at home, leaders often look abroad for distraction. That is when a dangerous question started circulating. Is Greenland next? For years, Trump's talk of buying Greenland was treated like a joke. Late-night comedy, memes, and disbelief followed. But today, no one is laughing. The Trump administration has hardened its tone. Statements that once sounded absurd are now edged with threats. Military action is no longer being ruled out. Venezuela and Iran fit the traditional playbook of imperial power politics. But Greenland is different. Greenland belongs to Denmark, a NATO member, an ally. Threatening it means threatening the alliance itself. Trump argues that total control over Greenland is essential for its national security. According to him, if America does not act now, Russia and China will. This argument sounds eerily familiar. Russian President Vladimir Putin has said the same thing about Ukraine for years, that without control, Ukraine would fall into the enemy camp and NATO would reach Russia's doorstep. Washington rejected that logic outright, lecturing Moscow on sovereignty, territorial integrity, and international law. Today, Trump repeats the same reasoning he once condemned. The hypocrisy is impossible to ignore. This is why the Greenland story matters. It exposes the double standards that define modern power politics. On January 12th, Republican Congressman Randy Fine introduced the Greenland Annexation and Statehood Act in Congress. The bill aims to give President Trump legal authority to annex Greenland without obstruction. After facing criticism for bypassing Congress in Venezuela, Republicans now want constitutional cover. The message is clear. This time, they want paperwork ready before the tanks roll. Greenland is a self-governing territory under the Kingdom of Denmark. Internally, it runs its own affairs, but defense and foreign policy remain under Copenhagen's control. Greenland's government has stated clearly that while it views the United States as an ally, it does not want to become part of America. Its prime minister has openly said he would choose Denmark over the US any day. Denmark has repeatedly stated that Greenland is not for sale. Trump dismisses Denmark's claim by arguing that arriving by boat a century ago does not grant eternal ownership. Ironically, Native Americans would agree with him. Europeans arrived, wiped out indigenous populations, and claimed the land. History is brutal, and power decides outcomes. Denmark, however, has made it clear that it will not hand over Greenland peacefully. Any takeover would require military force, and Trump knows this. Here's where things get explosive. Denmark is a NATO member. An attack on Greenland would trigger NATO's collective defense clause, but the attacker would also be NATO's most powerful member, the United States. This creates a scenario NATO was never designed to handle, a NATO versus NATO conflict, an internal war that would effectively destroy the alliance overnight. The very structure America built to counter the Soviet Union could collapse because of America itself. European leaders are alarmed. They are urging Trump to respect sovereignty, borders, and international law, but Trump remains unmoved. Vice President J.D. Vance is scheduled to meet Danish and Greenlandic leaders, and many fear a repeat of the humiliating diplomatic confrontations seen in recent months. So why is Greenland suddenly so important? Part of the answer is distraction. When domestic pressure rises, foreign crises become useful. But Greenland is more than a political smokescreen. The US has wanted it before. Woodrow Wilson considered buying it during World War I. Harry Truman tried again during World War II. America has a long history of purchasing territory rather than invading it, from Louisiana to Alaska. During World War II, when Nazi Germany occupied Denmark, the US took control of Greenland to prevent it from falling into German hands. After the war, Greenland was returned, but American forces never fully left. A 1951 defense agreement allows the US to operate military bases there to this day, including the strategically critical Thule Air Base. So if the US already has bases, why push for total control? The answer lies beneath the ice. Over 80% of Greenland is covered by ice, but climate change is melting it fast. As the ice retreats, vast mineral wealth is becoming accessible. Oil, gas, gold, and rare earth elements lie beneath the surface. Rare earths are the backbone of modern technology. Smartphones, electric vehicles, missiles, satellites, and AI infrastructure. China currently dominates this supply chain. The US is desperate for alternatives. Melting ice is also opening new Arctic shipping routes. The Arctic could soon rival the Suez Canal as a global trade artery, saving time, fuel, and billions of dollars. Greenland sits at the heart of this transformation. It overlooks the Greenland-Iceland-UK gap, a critical naval choke point for tracking submarines and controlling access between the Arctic and the Atlantic. Whoever controls Greenland controls the gateway. American billionaires understand this. Long before Trump escalated rhetoric, figures like Bill Gates and Peter Thiel began investing in Greenland's mining potential. Infrastructure challenges remain massive, but the long-term payoff could be enormous. This raises uncomfortable questions. Is Trump acting purely out of national interest? Or is he advancing the ambitions of America's corporate elite? If America moves aggressively on Greenland, the consequences will be global. NATO's credibility will shatter. Europe will be forced to reconsider its dependence on Washington. Deals with Russia or China will no longer seem unthinkable. The era of might makes right will officially return. Borders will become suggestions, not rules. In such a world, if America takes Greenland, Russia will justify Ukraine. China will justify Taiwan. Smaller nations will be left exposed. Emerging powers like India will face brutal choices: invest heavily in defense or risk irrelevance. International law will exist only on paper. We have reached a dangerous moment. In 2026, the question is no longer whether the world order is cracking. The question is how much force will be used before it finally breaks.